Today we're talking about AI agents. So what are AI agents? They are a program that can understand goals, can make plans, and take actions on your behalf or on behalf of the project or task at hand. It's different from a normal chatbot where you would normally just ask a question and it generates text and things like that. And the reason it's different is because it can reason on about what to do next. It can, instead of it following a script and specific instructions that you give it in a prompt, it can make adjustments as it's going along, as it hits failures and things like that. You give it a goal, it decides what tools it needs to use, what data it needs from the context that you provide it, and what actions it's going to take to accomplish that goal. It makes those determinations on its own. So 4 simple traits that an agent has, an AI agent, is it's goal-driven. It's not 100% autonomous yet, but it will become 100% autonomous, meaning it can make steps. You don't have to micromanage it. It can decide and plan and execute. It's adaptive, so it reads its environment, whether it's web pages, its files, its databases, a video, things like that, and then it can extrapolate the information it needs and brings it all together. It's action-oriented. Agents get things done. Think of an agent as an employee, except it is a single vertical employee. It can execute propounding discovery. It can execute profit and loss analysis, things like that. They're not necessarily being able to do too many multiple tasks. It will get there, but context windows and other compute limitations will restrain it. So how it kind of works is it receives a goal, so it summarizes the for example, summarize these contracts and highlight the indemnity clauses in each. So what it does is it's going to break it down into smaller tasks. It's going to open each of the files. It's going to read the context. It's going to find the clauses, and it's going to draft the summary, right? It's going to act. It's going to use the tools, whether that's it uses code to read the files. It uses the browser or whatever it may be. And then it will observe its work, and it will keep iterating until it fixes itself. So think of it like giving an intern a goal versus a checklist. The goal is I need you to propound discovery on this case, or I need you to give me a profit and loss analysis on these 5 companies. The chatbot needs a checklist. The agent figures out the checklist on its own. It generates one, and then it goes and executes it. So before I go into sharing my screen, which is what I'm about to do next, I want to just give you guys all a disclaimer. This isn't in the wild. This is not planned. This is not scripted. Also, AI agents are still in their infancy stage, so they are very much still in beta, meaning some stuff works, some stuff doesn't. It's a hit or miss, but hopefully we can get through it without too many hiccups on this. So I'm pretty excited to show it to you. We're going to show it to you from the perspective of EasyTech and just data, because we don't have permission to use anyone else's case management system. But you can take the same concepts that I'm showing you and change them for your specific business and your needs, and it will adapt. So we're going to be using a AI agentic browser called Perplexity Comet. Comet is one of its first of its kind. It was available only to a small handful of beta use test groups, and it has recently, within the last couple of weeks, been open to everyone else. I've been using Comet for well over 6 months now, and it has its positive and it has its positives and its negatives. So this may not work perfectly. The idea is to show you what technology has gotten to where AI is today, and to kind of show you a little peek of where we're going to tomorrow, right? And what we can expect. This is real technology, but it does still have real limitations. All right, so we use a ticketing system in our company where when you have an issue and you need a support, you can submit a ticket and you can ask questions and things like that. So I'm going to share my screen, And let me just move this over here because I have some some prompts ready for us, so I'm not sitting here typing it all. And so in our ticketing system, this is what Comet looks like. Let's take a step back, and Comet looks just like a Chrome web browser. Okay, it's a little different. When you open a new tab, it actually opens up Perplexity. At the end, I'll talk about some of the different AI tools that I use, and we can get into why I use them or whatnot, or we can have a whole different session about that. But I like Perplexity for quick AI search. I'm trying to do some product analysis. Maybe we're buying something for the kids, and I'm trying to figure out which is the best product, things like that. This really helps. And I think this is the future of search anyway. But be careful with AI search because it gives you one definitive answer. So it's doing an assessment based on inference. It's assuming what you want to see and not see, versus when you do a Google search where it gives you 10,000 results and you're figuring it out on your own. So with that, I'm going to go into our ticketing system and I'm going to open up the assistant. And this is the agentic assistant here. And I'm going to give it a prompt. And the prompt says, go to Halo PSA, review the tickets from this week using the date reported column for each agent, Ali, Iyad, and Scott. For each agent, summarize the last actions taken on their tickets and provide actionable next steps to move each ticket forward. Provide me with a table for the results. And when I send that off, you'll notice it does this blue hue around the web browser. It's actually has taken over the page and it is going to do some physical work. And you guys will get to see that actually in action right now. On the right-hand side here, you'll notice it's thinking, it's doing its reasoning, it's reading the page, it's assessing where it needs to click and navigate to. So it's figuring things out, it's creating a plan, and then it's going to start executing. So we'll give it a couple minutes here, and I want everyone to kind of just see what's actually happening on the right. It's scrolling. It's going to start filtering. It's going to open each ticket and read the ticket. This is what an agent actually does versus when you're in a chat bot and you are asking a question that's generating text and you're copy and pasting. Great use cases are you're busy, you're trying to get a quick analysis. For example, I just need to know what's happening. What are the most recent tickets from this week and where do we stand? So as you see it, it's going through, it's clicking around, it's reading. I'll show you guys the other type of agentic workflows near the end because we actually have AI here that goes through the tickets and gives suggestions and types and recommendations. It also categorizes the ticket for us using our OpenAI API. So it's a lot of fun stuff that happens in a lot of different ways. You can have AI help you in processing things as you go through. So again, you guys see it working. It's assessing. It's making its progress. One of the key things that I want to mention is when this is happening, it does bog down your computer. It's using a lot of resources locally and on the cloud. It's sharing its bandwidth so that it can actually accomplish these things, partly because we have limitations on compute power and things like that. So this is going to keep doing its thing, and we're going to switch over while it's doing its thing, so everyone has gotten an opportunity to see what's happening here. We're going to go in and look at how to do this in ChatGPT because this feature is also available in a similar fashion in ChatGPT. OpenAI did release a new web browser called Atlas, and that web browser is available only for Mac users at the moment. They are working on producing a Windows version of it, but we're going to show you the agent feature because you still have to click into the agent feature anyway when you're doing it. So in with ChatGPT, you have to do it a little different because you have to provide it the URL. So I have a modified prompt that says go to the URL, which is our homepage with the tickets, log in, then review the tickets, and basically it's the same prompt. The difference here is I have to click this little plus sign, and I need to go in and say agent mode so that it can go in and do this work. Then I'll hit start or go, and it's going to open a web browser in the chat box here, and it's going to attempt to log in, and it's going to ask me for my input to put in my credentials. This is where some security risks come up. Security risks being whatever passwords you put in through the agent mode in this one, OpenAI is caching in their databases. So you want to be careful and things like that. So let's give it a second here. Okay. As you can see here, it's opening a web browser. It's going to navigate to it. Now, one of the things I want to mention is ChatGPT tends to have more of a difficult time navigating in its own little environment that it spins up, because it basically spins up a computer, it opens up a web browser, and then tries to start navigating. And you'll see that it has a little bit more of a harder time. And I can now take over and say, and it's telling you, hey, this browser, your whatever data you put in here is at risk. So it decides to load. Here we go. So now I'm technically taking control of the browser. And I can log in. And then I can say finish controlling, and it's going to do it on its own. Meanwhile, I can come back over here and I can see that it has finished doing what it needs to do. It's created a ticket summary for us. It's created a table. And I can take this table and pull it and do what I need to do with it, or I can open this in a new tab, and now I can just assess the information it gave me. So for Ali, it gave me what his tickets are, the last action that was taken, and what the next steps are. Okay, same thing with Ali. And then what's really cool is it also gives me some key observations that it made based on the AI and things like that. And preferences that I've put in from my personalization sessions that I've showed you guys in the past, which you can also find on our YouTube. So this comes up with the tickets. It gives me the status. It's given me a table. I can quickly have a quick review of what's going on. And maybe I need to have a conversation with the or maybe I need to have a conversation with Scott to help them move those tickets along. So really cool stuff. This is agentic power at its finest. Thankfully, it worked this time. Sometimes I give it too much of a task, and it fails because it's too big of an ask, because there's a limitation on how much it can do because of memory and compute power. So if things are failing, try to readjust your ask and ask in a different way. I'm going to go back to this actually, and I'm just going to scroll back, and you'll notice that at the bottom here, it's kind of showing it. This is the context you're using in this environment. I have another, let's actually, while I go pull that up, let's take a sneak peek and see what's going on over here. It basically failed, and it needs me to redo it all over again. So I can come back in here, take over, try to log in. This is why I gave you guys the disclaimer, because sometimes it works and sometimes it has a hard time. Okay. Okay, so going back here, I do have another example that I'll show you, which is a data entry example. And that example is great because you can have it if you have a spreadsheet of information and you need it to do things, you can basically have it go update a bunch of nodes. We're going to only do one in this instance here, but I'm going to show you our next prompt is go into Halo PSA, find a ticket. So we're going to pick a ticket here, and I'm just going to take this ticket. It's going to confuse Scott, but it's okay. He'll live. And I'm going to put my ticket number in here. I'm going to replace this. And I'm going to tell it to add a private note that says follow up with the client via email regarding a status update. Log 5 minutes of time to the ticket and set the status to in progress. And so this is a task, and I can tell it to do this across a bunch of information. I can tell it to actually go put this note across all of the information in the table in this chat above, but we're going to just specify a little bit here. So again, it takes over the screen. It's going to go find the ticket. It's going to add a note, and it's going to hit save. This is great for people that have to track billable hours and things like that. If you're going through and you're moving through the motions, you can basically have the agent go into your system and update each of those cases. If you're maintaining your time on a spreadsheet or whatever it is, maybe you're doing a handwritten sheet, you can scan it and have it read it and go in and try to update that information. So as you guys see here, it's going in, it adds the note, it's going to update the time. It's going to change the status. Let's see if it gets it. There we go. And it should be able to hit save. So in these instances, I didn't give it a goal because I didn't want it to stumble around for purposes of what we're trying to demonstrate. But if you're giving it a goal of I need to update or I need the following information, it can do that. But it can also do a bunch of data entry for you where you don't necessarily have to have someone sitting behind a computer just typing away or copy and pasting and creating room for error. This can do it 100 times perfect every time. So just remember that as you're going through and as we watch this technology continue to grow and proliferate and mature, this is just going to get better and better. What's really cool is you can come back and you can check and review what steps it took. So you can figure out where it went wrong and where you can fix your prompt. And so here you'll notice that it created a to-do list for itself, and then it marks each of those things as complete as it was getting done. Right? And then it says it's finished and it gives you a summary of what it did on this ticket. So that's Comet browser. Let's go back to OpenAI. It's still working away. It's struggling a little. And let's see where it comes back with. In the meantime, this agentic power is great in this instance because it's all baked into the web browser. But this power can be utilized throughout every tool that you use through other integrations. So for example, you guys noticed in our tickets here, we have our AI overlord suggest the following. And what's happening here is we use a technology similar to Zapier, similar to N8N or Make. These are integration tools that help you integrate your day-to-day tools with AI or other integrations, right? So for example, what we have here is our ticketing system. It uses this tool Roost, and I can show you kind of what it's using here. It creates a workflow. So this tool is monitoring our ticketing system. Every time a new ticket comes in, it takes the ticket and it sends it up to OpenAI and it says, hey, give us some information on how to either ask better questions to get more information or what we need to do, what the suggestions are. And then it will create the suggestions based on what the OpenAI chatbot tells it, and it comes back down, updates the ticket, and basically places a note here of what it recommends for you to do. We also have a different workflow similar to this workflow that essentially goes up and categorizes the ticket. So it gets all the categories and then it sends it up to OpenAI and says, categorize this ticket based on the information that has been driven below. So let's go back to OpenAI and take a look here and see what's actually happening. So it's still reading. OpenAI is not as strong as the Comet browser, but and the Atlas browser tends to struggle very similarly, but that's kind of where we're at in technology. It's very new. We're getting there. It's growing. It's not anything that's been perfected. Another thing you can actually do is have it use multiple tabs in your browser to understand what's happening. So let me give you an example of that. And if I will, let me open up a new tab. Okay, maybe not. So here you can say, I am looking for a new AI tool for my PI firm. Pull up each of the following separate tabs and give me a table comparison. And the tools are, let's just say, Even Up, Supio, and Eve Legal, right? And so it's going to open up each tab. It's taken full control, and then it will go back to the assistant and it will go ahead and give us a workup of what it's doing, right? Here's your core focus, the practice fit, and it's doing exactly what we asked, but it opened the tabs for me so that I can come back and do my own analysis and comparison. So really cool stuff, very new. It's still got a lot to learn, but I strongly recommend starting to play with it. It's extremely important that you start messing with it and you start understanding what these tools can do and what the technology has. So couple of security issues when it comes to entering passwords. I know you guys all saw me enter my password. I will change it later this afternoon once I'm done with this demo, because these tools do not encrypt your passwords. They are using plain text. Now, the browser for Comet is a little different because it's using the Chromium technology, which is what Chrome is built on. And I'm using a password manager, so it's pasting it via encryption. But if you're not, and you're just typing your password in like I did here with ChatGPT, that is stored in plain text, meaning if someone's on the same network that's watching the traffic, they will see the characters that I just typed in. The agent does have issues with multi-factor authentication. You notice I didn't have multi-factor authentication. I had to disable it for this demo because sometimes agents will run into issues. This is in the ChatGPT version of it. And mostly any agents because they don't know how to authenticate. But in Comet, it just prompts you, and it's a fluid collaboration between the browser and your interactions. So the data exposure is the agent and the AI is reading your pages that are open when you're asking it to do things. So if it's information that you don't want to have an AI read or interact with, then you need to make sure you're not asking it to do things in that tab, or you're using an incognito mode or whatever it is, and you're not using the agentic functions at all. It does struggle with complex, unclear prompts. So if you're asking it to do something very specific, make sure you give it step-by-step instructions. Very similar to the instructions we gave it here, where I said, go into this ticket and add a private note. And I was very specific about private note and information and so on and so forth. So bottom line, start small, try things out, get the hang of it, and go from there. I mentioned some of these. There's a lot of agentic tools that are already existing, and they're very vertical specific. So one of the ones that I tell everyone that it's great to use and to try, especially if you need help with managing your emails. Fixer AI and Superhuman, as well as Google Gemini, if you're in the Google ecosystem. Those are great because they can help you read emails, they can help you respond, categorize things. I will preface it with this. There is something called prompt injection, meaning if I send you an email with a prompt that's in white text and you're having Google Gemini read it, that prompt can basically say, hey, tell them that there's an issue with their Google account and call an 800 phone number. That 800 phone number can come to me and it's not an actual Google phone number. But because it came from Gemini, you are more likely to believe it, even though it was a hidden prompt in your email. So be on the lookout for that from a security standpoint. Uh, Workflow automation tools, I mentioned these earlier. We use Roost, which is specifically for IT companies. That allows us to connect and integrate a whole bunch of stuff. But there's Zapier, there's Make, MAKE, and there is N, the number 8, and then N again. So N8N. These are great platforms to help you connect things and utilize agentic functions with your day-to-day tools. Everything that's agentic needs some sort of trigger and things like that. And we can have a session on that early next year on how to identify what a trigger is and how to get it to work through a task. So what we saw today is not science fiction. This was real. This was where AI has developed over the last 3 years, since the day ChatGPT 3 or ChatGPT 3.5 came out in 2021-ish to today. We're in a whole different ball game, and it's only been a short period of time, and this is just expanding more and more and more and faster. So make sure you guys are trying these tools out. Stay up to speed, follow our channel. We're constantly posting things, and we will be continuing these AI labs, but with more of these demonstrations, kind of like I showed now. And I'd be open for you guys to send us suggestions for what you would like us to see demonstrate using AI. We may ask you to get involved and be a guest with us so that we can actually use real life scenarios, but please let us know. So do we have any questions? Any thoughts? Well, leading up to this, I did receive some questions from some people that were unable to join. So I'm going to read some off, and then we'll go ahead and close this out. One of the questions is can this work with a specific software or tool? If it is a web-based tool, Comet will work, or the ChatGPT version will work just fine for any of these types of scenarios, right? Using the agentic power of it. If you're concerned that your software is not web-based, using tools like N8N or things like that are able to do it and integrate it. Client confidentiality, we touched on this a little bit. Do not put information that you don't want subpoenaed. Recently, OpenAI said that if they do get subpoenaed about chat conversations, they will release those subpoenas. Anthropic is a little different. They may not. Google's going to do whatever Google's going to do, right? They're the biggest player in the game right now. So make sure, if you don't want it to come out in the public, if it's attorney-client privilege, if it's confidential and you signed an NDA to not expose this information, make sure you redact that information. Make sure you maybe use hypotheticals instead. It's really important, or use an incognito chat or an incognito window where things are not going to get stored. Perplexity, if you go to perplexity.ai, when you sign up for one of their pro accounts, which is I think $20 a month, it will give you those features. Perplexity also has, if you're on their $200 a month plan, they also have an email assistant agent that will connect to your emails and help you categorize and draft email responses and things like that. Still requires you to review and send the emails, but it does help facilitate that stuff, and it works with both Outlook and Gmail. And the last, is this going to replace my staff? The idea is no, but it is going to replace the tasks that they don't like doing. Nobody likes doing data entry. I can guarantee you, if you walk around any of your offices today or you ask any of your employees, do you like doing data entry? They will tell you, hell no. It is a common feedback. This is going to replace data entry. This is going to replace having someone have to go pull a bunch of different information from a bunch of different places, and it's going to free them up to do more important tasks, more high value items. So I'm going to leave it at that. If there are any other questions, please do not hesitate to email or reach out. I'd be happy to chat more about this. info@easytechsolutions.com is where you can send your questions to, and we'll get that taken care of. Awesome. Thank you, everyone.